The man who looks right at home at the plasma is Josh Bartlett. He's the Director of Mortgage Advice Bureau. Thanks for joining us, Josh.
Thanks for having us.
Well, like every other industry seemingly at the moment, there's policy changes galore when it comes to the borrowing sector. What are some of the things to look out for at the moment when it comes to seeking home loan approval at this time?
Well, obviously the biggest thing that we're asking people is your job safe? There's different industries that are being affected a lot more, the hospitality industry, and how you get paid. So a lot of the banks are doing different things now. So they'll look at your base income, and if you once upon a time got bonuses or commissions, they might start shading them more. So last year, a lot of the banks would take your bonus income, maybe last year and the year before, and they'd shade it by 20%. Now they're shading those bonus incomes by 40%. So if you're on commission, the same thing. So last year it was 20%, and now they'll shade that by 40%. So different ways that people get paid are now being looked at in a very different way.
A reminder to get your questions into right throughout the program tonight. And you can even upload the questions that you like, and the most uploaded ones we will get to at the end of the program. Putting your mortgage on hold, Josh, simple terms, what does that mean?
So what the banks have done, and obviously they all started jumping all over it, March, April. So there was a lot of people that were calling us every single day saying, I need to do this is what happened to our job. And I did say, I think we all need to sit back for a week or two to see what happens with the banks, because they didn't have answers straight away. But a lot of the banks have come in and saying, hey, we can put your mortgage on hold if you are in trouble or if you need some assistance. Now, they've obviously made sure that you're not going into, so it is called hardship. So you can put it on hold for 6 months. The interest is then paid at the end of the term. So let's say your mortgage goes for another 27 years. They'll then say, okay, we'll send you a new contract, and then your mortgage will then go for 27 and 6 months. So it's just more of a holiday. So it's a holiday. You still have to pay it. You'll still have to pay the interest. The banks are always going to make their money. But at the same time, people say, oh, well, that's not very good of the banks. I think we need to be pretty happy that the banks are quite strong and they've allowed us to get through this stage. And if you have a look at, and like Troy said before, the banks and the government have helped us get through this. With the JobKeeper and that coming into effect and allowing a lot of businesses to trade out of this. And then the banks coming out, and they're so strong that they've allowed a lot of people to put their mortgages on hold. Now, a lot of people have actually gone back to the bank saying, hey, I know that I put our mortgage on hold, but I don't think we need it now. Can we put it back to where it was? So there's been a lot more confidence in the last couple of months. And to Troy's point before, there's a lot more first home buyers coming out now saying, hey, I know my job's safe. They've been through that initial first, month or two of stress. They know their job's safe. And now, if your job's safe, there's property out there, it's time to buy.
It's time also for our next poll, and it's this question. When was the last time you repriced your home loans? Multiple choice this time, less than 12 months ago, more than 12 months ago, or never? Hit up the poll just below us there and we'll read out those results shortly. Josh, while we've still got you, how can you add value to all the investors out there viewing tonight? What are the options available also for landlords in relation to financial hardship?
Well, I want to point out a few different things. So just based on that poll. So last year, there was a lot of different, so during the Royal Commission, which obviously there was a banking Royal Commission only, call it a year ago, and then now we're obviously in COVID-19 times. So there was a governing body called APRA who changed the interest only of all the banks. All the banks could only carry 10% of all of their loans interest only. So during that time, all of the interest rates actually climbed up. So if you haven't looked at, I'd love to see how this poll actually works out. About 12 months to 24 months ago, the interest rates were quite high. Now, because the banks didn't want clients to go on interest only, 12 months after that, obviously APRA has come out saying, hey, we're going to be a lot more flexible with these banks now. So the banks are now sharpening their rates up with interest only. So you might have been on a 4.5 to 5%, and now you can be on, say, 2.7 or 2.6 interest only. So that can save a client who's got a loan of $500,000 around about $700 per month.
That's huge, isn't it?
Massive.
Yeah, that's a huge saving. We'll get to those poll results shortly, but the questions have been filtering in, and one of them is one that I even get asked about a lot from time to time, and that is, why would someone, Josh, choose a broker over a bank?
Very good question. So as a mortgage broker, we get paid by the bank. So if a client comes in to me, and this is a really good way of answering it, If a client comes in to see me, I can give them 35 different choices. If a client walks in to see a bank, the bank will say, hey, I can give you this one choice. And I've actually said this to a person at the bank before. If there was a better rate and a better structure and a better policy for you, but it wasn't at that bank and it's down the road, do you think the person at the bank's going to tell you that there's a better deal? Now, obviously the answer is no. The reason why the answer is no is because that person at the bank doesn't even know that there's a better deal down the road. So it's not in his best interest. Now, there's best interest duty that's coming out that brokers are actually governed by. So we are governed by going in the best interest of the client. The bank aren't governed by the same best interest duty. So we've got to work in your best interest to find you the best structure, the best policy and the best rate for the client. The banks don't.